Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a company that you literally see every single week, but probably don't really see for what it's becoming. We're talking about waste management, and we're going to unpack the massive transformation that's turning your everyday trash into a high-tech treasure trove. So let's just cut to the chase with the one question every investor has on their mind. Can this actually make you money? Seriously, can trash make you rich? Well, the answer is a whole lot more interesting than you'd think, and it's all wrapped up in some surprising tech and a really smart strategy.
All right, so here's the big idea, the main thesis. The whole investment case for waste management, or WM, isn't just about garbage trucks anymore. Not even close. It's about how they're turning themselves into this tech-savvy, eco-focused industrial powerhouse. That's the story we're going to dig into today.
But before we get into all the futuristic stuff, we've got to understand the foundation. I mean, what gives this company such an incredible, lasting advantage? Let's talk about its competitive moat, because it is a big one.
It all kicks off with this number, over 250. That's how many landfills WM owns and operates. Now, this isn't just a big number. It's a physical network of assets that is the absolute bedrock of their business. And it's a network that is pretty much impossible for anyone else to build today.
And why is it impossible? Well, it's because of what investors call barriers to entry. Just think about it. Imagine you wanted to start a competing landfill company. You'd be facing a mountain of regulations, insane startup costs, and let's be real, absolutely nobody wants a new landfill in their backyard. This makes WM's existing network just incredibly valuable. And this is where it all clicks into place for an investor. When you control something that's essential and also incredibly scarce, you get what's called pricing power. It basically means WM can raise its prices bit by bit, year after year, and drive really predictable growth. That, right there, is the power of the moat. So they've got this fortress, right? But what are they building on top of it? This is where the story gets really, really interesting. Let's look at how the company is turning its old-school operations into these powerful new engines for growth.
It really boils down to three key things. First up, smart trucks. The whole fleet is getting hooked up with tech to figure out the fastest routes in real time, saving a fortune on fuel. Second, automated recycling. We're talking AI and robots that can sort through materials with crazy speed and accuracy, which makes the recycled stuff way more pure and valuable. And third, renewable energy. They're actually capturing the methane gas from their landfills, which used to be just a problem, and turning it into something called renewable natural gas, a clean fuel they can sell for a profit.
And look, this isn't some small side project. WM is putting serious money where its mouth is. They've committed over $1.4 billion between 2022 and 2026 just to automate and upgrade their recycling plants. That is a massive bet on technology. So, is that big bet paying off? Oh yeah. In just one quarter, these new green businesses kicked in an extra $36 million to the company's operating profit. This is crystal clear proof that these initiatives aren't just good for the planet. They are very, very good for the bottom line. Now, as if transforming their entire core business wasn't enough, WM just made a gigantic move into a totally new market. This is their next major growth story. They went out and bought a company called Stericycle, which basically made them a leader in medical waste overnight. Now, for an investor, this is a brilliant move. Why? Because healthcare waste is super profitable, and maybe even more important, it's recession-resistant. Hospitals and clinics need this service no matter what the economy is doing. And the financial goal here is massive. The plan is to plug Stericycle's operations into WM's super efficient network. By doing that, they're aiming to find $250 million in annual cost savings, what the pros call synergies, by 2027. It's all about getting rid of overlapping routes and just running a much tighter ship. And guess what? Just like with their green tech, the results are already rolling in. The new healthcare division added a whopping $110 million to operating profit in its very first full quarter. That's a huge sign that this integration is working and adding a ton of value right out of the gate. Okay, look, a great story is one thing, but for an investor, it all comes down to the numbers, right? It has to show up on the income statement. So let's follow the money and see how this whole transformation is actually hitting the bottom line. So what's the end result of all this tech, the sustainability projects, the new healthcare business? It's pretty simple. They're all designed to make the company more profitable. And the numbers? Well, the numbers show it's working.
This chart right here says it all. This is their core business profitability, basically how much profit they squeeze out of every dollar in sales. It hit a company record of 30% in 2024 and then jumped again to 31.3% just a couple of quarters later. This is the clearest picture you can get that their strategy is making the business more profitable than ever before.
And if you want the single best signal of confidence from a company's management, here it is. This is the high end of their raised forecast for free cash flow for the full year. See, when a company tells investors they expect to make even more cash than they originally thought, you'd better pay attention. So why is that number such a big deal? Because free cash flow is the lifeblood for investors. It's the actual cash left over after running the business. It's the money that gets used to pay dividends, buy other companies, and pay down debt. All the things that create real value for shareholders.
Okay, so let's put it all together. We've seen the rock-solid foundation, the really exciting growth plans, and the impressive numbers. So what's the final verdict from an investment perspective? Let's quickly break down the bull case versus the bear case.
The bull case is pretty straightforward. You've got this super defensive market leader with an unbeatable moat, and now it's adding these powerful new growth engines. But on the other hand, the bear case is that, hey, this is not a cheap stock. Its premium price means there's not a lot of room for mistakes. There's always a risk when you're absorbing a huge company like Stericycle, and of course, a really bad recession could still hurt them.
And that really leaves us with one big final question. The whole idea of waste is changing right before our eyes. It's going from being a liability you have to bury to a valuable resource you can mine for new materials and energy. So the question for any investor is, as this massive shift unfolds, who's in the best position to profit? That's the real story of waste management today.